Hello, everybody, and welcome back to James's Classic Movies, Star Wars. This is my collection of Star Wars. This is going to take perhaps 4, maybe 5 or 6 days for me to show you. My Star Wars collection is vast. So this is part 1, and I hope you do enjoy it. And if you have, we'd like for you to hit that like button. And if this is your first time to this channel, please subscribe. We could sure use your help. Alright, let's get with it. Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6 today. Of course, with a couple extra features, which you'll see. Released back in 1977, Star Wars 4, starring Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Alec Guinness, Frank Oz is the voice of Yoda, James Earl Jones with David Prowse as Darth Vader, and of course Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine or the Emperor. Okay, dokie. What was I at? You'll get telling something, you lose your train of thought. Okay, a lot of people have asked questions, why did they start off with Episode 4, 5, and 6? Well, Lucas always knew that he was want to go back and tell the backstory of how all our characters got to where they're at. How the man in the mask became Darth Vader, where he came from, his wife, and how Leia and Luca evolved, and friendship with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and so forth. So he took probably, I think he said he took the second half of his story and did it first. So that's where you come in with 4, 5, and 6. The 1, 2, and 3 is a prequel to the original Star Wars trilogy. Now you can find out all about that in this movie right here. This is a Star Wars trilogy bonus materials disc, which we'll talk more about, and it shows you the making of 4, 5, and 6, and tells you everything you want to know about it, and we'll get to that a little later. Right now, let's talk about 4. Again, as I told you, Star Wars 4 was filmed in 1977, and when it was released, it did $775.8 million at the box office. That's quite a bit. We'll just round it up and say 779 million or 780, and it's still making money even today. Take a look at this, and if you have not seen Star Wars, which I doubt if anybody on the planet has not seen these pictures, take a look. This is the remake trailer when he went back and got the original, and then he enhanced all the special features in the film to bring it up to date, to make it a modern version. You can pick this up, these movies and any movies, at Amazon.com or your favorite DVD retailer. Take a look.
For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. Before the Dark Times, before the Empire.
My ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed.
You must learn the ways of the Force if you're to come with me to Alderaan.
Alderaan? Han Solo. I'm captain of the Millennium Falcon.
You should not have come back.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
You're who?
I felt a great disturbance in the Force.
Somebody has to save our skins.
The battle station is heavily shielded and carries a firepower greater than half the Star Fleet. Don't underestimate the Force. Its defenses are designed around a direct, large-scale assault.
Come here, you big coward. Chewie, come here.
a small one-man fighter should be able to penetrate the outer defense.
I don't care what anybody says, Star Wars never gets old. It never does. This is the first movie, Star Wars: A New Hope. This is the limited edition, well, like most of my pictures. This has been digitally re-enhanced, as you can see there, by THX. It's a beautiful movie. Hope that if you haven't seen it, you do see it. In 1980, we saw the release of The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire comes into action and goes after our heroes. Starring or introducing Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian, directed by George Kirshner. It started out on an $18 million budget and ended with a $30 million budget and brought home $549 million. That's quite a profit. Lucas completely funded this one himself. He wanted he didn't want anybody putting their hands into his prize and say, cut this, cut that. As you'll see in the bonus DVD material, in the how they made the film. This was in 1980. This one right here. The Empire Strikes Back. Take a look at this. I know you're going to like it.
There is a great disturbance in the Force.
I have felt it.
We have a new enemy. He could destroy us.
There will be a substantial reward for the one who finds the Millennium Falcon.
Keep your eyes open, huh?
I'm looking for someone. I'm looking for a great warrior.
Luke.
Vader. Is the dark side stronger?
Imperial troops have entered the base. Imperial troops have entered.
Echo Station 5-7. We're on our way. I won't fail you. I'm not afraid.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Much anger in him, like his father.
In 1983, we saw the release of Return of the Jedi, starring Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine, and we saw Sebastian Shaw in the role of Anakin Skywalker, again voiced by James Earl Jones until he took his helmet off. And of course, this one brought home $482 million. Take a look at this.
Force is strong in my family. Father had it. I have it. You have that power too.
The Emperor's made a critical error and the time for our attack has come.
Do not underestimate the powers of the Emperor, or suffer your father's fate. You will.
Lock S-files and attack positions.
May the Force be with us.
Welcome, young Skywalker. I have been expecting you.
Your skills are complete.
We sure have hope you enjoyed that trilogy, the original making of Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, beautifully produced films. Of course, later we would see the release of 1, 2, and 3. We'll talk about that in Part 2. But right now we still have more to talk about in Part 1. Return of the Jedi was called Return of the Jedi because it was believed by George Lucas that Jedi don't take revenge. They wanted to call it Revenge of the Jedi because it's a powerful title. But, you know, as I said, Jedi don't take revenge. And we see the entrance of Sebastian Shaw as Anakin Skywalker. And instead of the David Prowse character being there, we look at Sebastian Shaw. Now, the Prowse character was there to do the muscular deals for Anakin. And when we get to the end of the movie, we see that when the helmet is released, we see, you know, Sebastian taking over for both James Earl Jones and David Prowse. Again, $482 million at the box office, and of course all three films were a huge success. Even George Lucas himself could not foresee the success of the Star Wars franchise, which would develop into one of the biggest franchises in cinema history. And we'll be right back. Hello, I'm back again. I want to show you this cover of Return of the Jedi. I just love the artwork of these films. I mean, the artwork is second to none. A lot better than the first go around, I guarantee it. Now, after the Return of the Jedi, they took was like a 20-year gap before Phantom Menace came out, as you remember. But in between there was some other stuff that was released, like the bonus feature showing you how all three Star Wars pictures were done, from New Hope to the Return of the Jedi. It was right here. We hope you'll pick up a copy if you haven't got one in your library already. And of course, Star Wars versus Star Trek. The rivalry continues. Take a look at this.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Fear will keep the local systems in line. Fear those capacity.
How many ships?
One, and it's on a direct course for Earth. It will cross the Federation border in less than an hour. Set a course for Earth. Maximum warp.
I want every ship available until they are found.
This is Captain Picard of the Enterprise. I'm taking command of the fleet.
Our records show that every ship has either been destroyed or severely damaged.
The end of the war is near.
Deploy the fleet.
This is about saving the future of humanity. We have lost the Enterprise. We should not sacrifice... We have not lost the Enterprise, Mr. Wolf. We are not going to lose the Enterprise.
Only through me can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi.
Perhaps today is a good day to die.
It is useless to resist.
We are quite safe, your friends here.
All of this so you can capture me.
To hell with our orders.
Give me everything you've got.
Are you threatening me?
As I said, the rivalry continues with Star Trek and Star Wars as a documentary comparing the films between each other. Of course, the clip you just saw was a fan base made film, and was well done. I included it in this because I thought it was very, very nice, and you needed to see it if you haven't saw it already. Okay, now in 2003. Lucas decided to come out with some animated features for his Star Wars picture. In 2003, we saw the animated TV series, which was released on the Cartoon Network, which lasted 3 seasons, starring Matt Arnold Taylor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, these are the voice actors. Tom Kane as Yoda, Matt Lucas as Anakin Skywalker, Corey Burton as Count Dooku, and Gary, I want to say Gary, but it isn't. I guess Carrie Delisle as Padme Amidala, Anthony Daniels reprising his role as C-3PO, and Nick Jameson as Palpatine. Take a look.
The balance of the Force has been shaken. The Clone Wars have begun.
Target that speeder!
That'll be a hot one for your library, I guarantee it. Now in 2008, let me move these around a little bit here. Disappear off the camera there. 2008, we saw the Clone Wars, the animated series, the Clone Wars. You can see this collection lasted, or series lasted for 7 seasons of Star Wars, and went from 2008 all the way to 2013 before it was canceled. Of course, you can pick this up from Amazon. It'll probably set you back about $200. And in addition to that is the Clone Wars Lost Missions. If you buy this, it will not come with this. You have to pick this up separately. Let me straighten that up so you can see it. How thoughtless of me, huh? There you go. We're going to show you a clip of that here in just a moment. But first of all, let's introduce the actors. Matt Lanner as Anakin Skywalker. Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka Tano. James Arnold Taylor reprising his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Tom Kane now, instead of being Yoda's voice, is now the narrator. So you may recognize his voice from the first one. And of course, Catherine Taber as Padme Amidala. And we're going to go ahead and show you a clip of that, and we hope you enjoy it.
In this war, a danger there is of losing who we are.
The ongoing stalemate in the war has become unacceptable.
The Separatist fleet commanded by General Grievous is headed your way.
Goodbye, Jedi!
Rush not into fights. Long is the war. Only by surviving it will you prevail.
The enemy ship is closing.
You wanted excitement.
Let the Republic come. Skywalker is leading the mission. Do not underestimate him.
There he goes again, craving adventure and excitement.
You get used to it.
Give it everything you've got!
Subtlety has never been one of your strong points.
All part of the plan, Master.
Your friends will get you.
You can't defeat us all.
Of course I can.
Get those fighters off of us!
Your fancy flying is making it difficult.
Hang in there!
Twice the trouble they have become.
Weapons do not win battles. Your mind, powerful it is.
Now you fall, as all Jedi must.
And my stars.
We need you, Anakin.
That was impressive.
Cartoon Network is proud to present Star Wars: The Clone Wars. With a new adventure every week, their galaxy isn't far, far away anymore. This fall, the Force will be with you.
That's my master.
Now, as I said before, there's a bonus feature for the first three movies, 4, 5, and 6. It shows you the making of these movies. But later on, George Lucas had always envisioned going back and correcting any mistakes or all the mistakes that may have been made, and trying to do the best he can and make a perfect picture, completing the picture. And he did that. And of course, you know, as I showed you, I have the limited edition, and it's an amazing, did an amazing job with these new enhanced features. I want you to go ahead and watch this clip of how these things were done, his story, and then we'll see you next time for part 2. Until that time, I'm James with James' Classic Movies, and you have been watching the first part of Star Wars.
In 1977, producer-director George Lucas created the Star Wars trilogy and changed the way we looked at movies. Now, 20 years later, using new digital technology, Lucas and his creative teams at Lucasfilm, THX, Skywalker Sound, and Industrial Light and Magic have completely restored, enhanced, and added to these classic movies to create the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition.
The original inspiration for bringing the film out again was the fact that it was the 20th anniversary of the original release of the film.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
I had an ulterior motive that I'd been thinking about for a long time, actually ever since the films were finished, which is there were various things, especially in the original film, that I wasn't satisfied with. Special effects shots that never really were finished, scenes that hadn't, that I wanted to include that couldn't have been included for some reason, mostly money and time. And I really wanted to fix the film and have it be completed. The most obvious thing that's happened is we've gone back to the original negative, cleaned it up considerably, redone a lot of the optical effects, the wipes, the dissolves, and improved the quality of the film, because it was deteriorating. And I think this one had deteriorated a lot more than anybody expected in 20 years. So you're getting to see a brand new print that's very clean and is actually better than the original release.
The actual original negative, it was so far gone that unless we actually did this at this time, we were never going to have the film to be able to release ever again.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
I definitely did the movie on the seat of my pants. I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, I had some experience in animation. I knew how to make movies, and I knew that I was going to attempt to do something that had never been done before.
To try and do a multi-generational modern-day myth had not been done as far as I knew.
I brought you here, now what?
We have to find the rebels. What we're carrying belongs to them.
The script was unlike any I'd ever seen before.
He had borrowed from Wizard of Oz or Kurosawa films, or, he's just steeped in film lore. So it just sort of went through his pores, and that's how he imagines things. George has an extraordinarily visual imagination.
The first one was done under extreme conditions. It was very low budget, and it was very challenging to get it done in the amount of time, considering we had to invent a lot of new technologies and do all kinds of things that had never been done before.
We didn't even know if we could do the job and get it done in the time that we had to do it. We didn't know if we could make it look real or not, if it was going to look like most of the other science fiction films that had been done that looked pretty fake. So it was a problem of trying to come up with a look that could allow George's vision to get on the screen and be executed for the amount of money and for the time that we had.
One of the things that impressed me on all the movies was the way George could take Scotch tape and popsicle sticks and really make something out of it. When I had visions of what it would look like to see the Death Star blow up. And they had the equivalent of, say, 6 ping pong tables in the parking lot somewhere in the valley with all the tchotchkes glued to the surface, all these model... they cannibalized thousands of battleship kits and just glued them all on, and they were making passes on it with somebody just driving a Jeep, and of course that's the footage of the TIE fighters flying past the surface.
The essence of the storytelling had to be sacrificed for the limits of technology. George had very specific shots that he wanted to be able to achieve, but it was extremely difficult to do that with models on wires. So although for us in 1977, when we first saw it, it was still powerful and was still big, he never got visually the dynamic shots that he actually wanted to get. So we've redone those.
I've taken a lot of the special effects shots that weren't really as good as I'd hoped they would be because they were sort of prototype technology, and I've been able to improve them and just add that little difference, and I've done it with a lot of the end battle shots.
You can actually see them. They come straight over camera, they go underneath camera, we can pan with them, you can see the pilots inside of them, you can see their heads moving. That was a real challenge, but really a great deal of fun to do.
Great shot, kid! That was 1 in a million!
Mos Eisley was one of the scenes that actually prompted this whole adventure of redoing the movie. Because there were some scenes in there with the speeder that was obviously supposed to float across the landscape. And in the Mos Eisley sequence coming up to the cantina, they never really accomplished that. And all the best they could do was to put some Vaseline on the lens to kind of fudge out the wheels under the car. But it didn't look like it was floating, it was sitting right on the ground, and there was this sort of orange blob underneath it that we jokingly called the force field. That combined with the fact that I wanted to have Mos Eisley to be more exotic and to be larger and have spaceships and more creatures running around and more like a real city, is what really prompted a lot of this redo on the film. So we designed a series of shots which show Mos Eisley in a much grander scale. We pull back and see the whole city. We see a lot more beasts of burden moving around in the city, more activity, and it just gives you a better sense of what Mos Eisley is.
One of the things we were concerned with right from the beginning was we certainly didn't want it to suddenly look like a brand new, different looking shot every time we dropped in one of the redos or improved or new shots. So a broad category of the new work we've done is to take the original elements that were used to comprise the shots and recombine them now using mostly computer technology.
When you're creating a world, part of what you do is whimsy, and part of what you do is for plot movement, and part you do just for your own personal interest and psychological eccentricities. I think dewbacks were put there out of whimsy. I wanted to give a kind of random, real-world feel to everything. So I wanted to do some things that weren't predictable, like having stormtroopers ride on dewbacks. In the original movie, in order to get dewbacks and things into the movie, we built a large rubber mannequin, really, that we were able to move around from set to set. He had a big stick in his head that somebody could sit alongside and move the head back and forth, and that was about as much movement as I could get out of it. And I always wanted them to have movement and walk around and be part of the population of the film. That had the Jabba the Hutt scene with Han Solo, which was a scene that had been cut out due to time and money constraints. And once I finished the third film, I really wanted to go back and put that back in there because it was sort of relevant to what happens to Han Solo at the end of the movie. And I really wanted to be able to connect the first film with the third film the way it was meant to be.
Right here, Jabba. Been waiting for you.
The scene was originally shot with an actor playing Jabba the Hutt to stand in for whatever creature we designed. Originally, I thought Jabba the Hutt would be kind of a furry character like Chewbacca. But as we went on and I redesigned him for Return of the Jedi, he obviously became a large slug and a very different kind of character. So we had to figure out a way of fitting that design into the original scene.
The ultimate goal is to make it look like Jabba was on the set talking to Harrison Ford, and we just photographed it. The plan was for us to remove this actor and replace him with Jabba. He had to be physically in that space where this actor was.
This project here was about 5 shots. It took about a year to do. We take the picture of some of the stuff we found. We use some of the off-the-shelf software to build a 3-dimensional wireframe mesh. Then the next process is to actually paint the creature. And with the painting of the creature, it also involves the actual texture of the surface of the characters.
We got to a certain point where everything was set, but there was one problem. Han Solo walks around Jabba.
We had to somehow shift Han. It would have been literally impossible for him to walk behind the Jabba character because of the tail. So George had the idea, so why don't you have him step on his tail?
Even I get bored sometimes. You think I had...
At some point, a famous filmmaker said, films are never completed, they're only abandoned. And rather than living with my abandoned movie, I really wanted to go back and complete it.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
Stand by. Now, sit back and get ready to experience George Lucas's definitive vision with the first installment of the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition.